Today we've got something a little bit different here. We've got a 2001 Holden Statesman. It's got the LS1 Gen 3 346 cubic inch V8, naturally aspirated, 225 kilowatts. We're going to do some runs down here and see what it can do. So the factory time for 0 to 100 was 7.3 seconds. It's done 145,900 kilometers, so it might have lost a few horsepower over the years, but we'll see what it can do. To tell us more about it, we've got Fence Boy over here, Joshua Bennis. You may recognize Josh. He helped start Performance Drive in the beginning. He's also got Driving Enthusiast off the ground too. So
So Brett wants me to tell you a little bit about this car. It's a 2001 Holden WH Series 2 Statesman. It's got an LS1 engine, 346 cubic inch, 446 newton meters of torque. It was around $55,000, 600 brand new, something like that. It was $55,660 brand new plus on roads. They always jam you with a bit of tax, mate. Try to take more of your hard-earned cash. The guy I bought this car off, he'd had it for about 1.5 years, and the person before that had had it since brand new. So it hasn't had many owners. This one here has velour trim. I'm kind of glad, because if you know anything about Holdens from the early 2000s, the leather went all splitty and cracky and looked disgusting. So this one has a cloth trim. It's all in very good condition. No rips or burns or anything like that. It's got some beautiful fake wood there. Everything on this car is absolutely as it was from the factory, except for maybe the center caps on the wheels. There's no cap back, there's no extractors, there's no K&N, there's nothing. It's all factory, air filter, exhaust, the whole lot. For me, I bought this car because it represented a bit of Australian motoring history. It was fairly cheap at the time. There's not a lot of these around in this condition, with factory wheels, factory badges, factory everything, no sort of silly mods. It's never been owned by an idiot like me before, but thankfully I've kept the car pretty standard and in good condition, and everything's great. It's never even had a repainted panel. Everything is as it was from the factory. Anyway, I'll hand you back to old mate. He'll tell you a little bit more about the performance side of things, and he's got a massive big nose.
We're at the bush strip here, and I'll see what I can do. It's got pretty sort of standard tyres. They're not too bad, but I don't think traction is going to be a problem, just because it does have independent rear suspension, and it doesn't have, you know, a huge amount of power, but I think we'll get off the line all right. I'll try a sort of stall up or build the engine revs first on the brake, but I'll also try just flattening it, because sometimes I've found that naturally aspirated cars, if you just flatten it, they can be quicker. Not usually, but sometimes they are. So I'll do both of them and just see what it does. It weighs about 1,770 kilograms according to the original specs, which is not too heavy actually. For a big car like this, it's over 5 meters long. It's a huge car. It does have a longer wheelbase than the standard Commodore. Check out the rear legroom there. Massive amounts of room. It's actually in very good condition, this one too. It's got the cloth or velour trim. It's not too saggy or anything like that. A lot of the older trims like this usually go saggy. Even the roof line is all intact and all tight and up at the roof. Rear climate vents, which some modern cars don't even come with. Power windows as well. You've got to remember, this is the flagship of Holden back in its day. So it is very luxurious. It's aimed at the high end. There was the Caprice as well, which is just slightly above this, but it's basically the same car. I have taken this for a bit of a drive. It's very smooth. It actually handles all right. You can go around corners, and because it's so long and low, the center of gravity is quite, yeah, it's very low. So you turn in the corners, it just remains really flat. The tires are probably the weakest point on this specific car, because they're not the best tires I've seen. But yeah, in terms of the chassis and the handling, the platform, it feels pretty good for a 20-year-old car. It really does. It also has a variable ratio steering rack, which is pretty uncommon back then. So when you're parking and things, it's very light, and then when you're going through the corners, it sort of weightens up a bit and feels a bit nicer. And this example also has a limited slip differential, which is great, because otherwise that torquey V8 will probably spin away all the power to one wheel. The predecessor of this had a Aussie 5-litre V8, so Australian-made V8, and then with sort of around the time when they brought in this model, they shoved the Chevrolet engine in it. These weren't really made for acceleration though. It's obviously a massive cruiser. Think of it as like an Aussie S-Class or something like that. I'm guessing the diff ratio is pretty tall. I'll flash up what it is now. So it's not going to be awesome straight off the line. And it has a turbo 400 4-speed automatic, so only 4 gears. I haven't driven a vehicle with 4 gears for quite a while, so that'll be interesting.
It doesn't have a turbo 400, it has a 4L68.
Oh, what did I say?
Turbo 400.
Oh, turbo 700, isn't it?
No, that's the old one.
Oh,
4L68.
there you go. So it's a GM 4L 60E.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Correction.